Welcome. Where are we today? The 17th of November, genade. So time is flying and, end of the year is winking. And I see we've got 2 vaccines that are in the wings that's got great results. So hopefully that means that 2021 is going to be better than what this year has been. So yeah, just, I'm still here, you still here. That's amazing. So well done. It doesn't matter what happens to us and the challenges we face. I just think it's amazing that we keep going and we keep our heads held high. And so well done. And thank you very much just for being part of the show and being part of the community. I deeply appreciate it. Today, I've got 2 amazing guests from Old Mutual Wealth. And we're going to be talking about integrated wealth planning and integrated behavioural coaching. And we've spoken about these concepts, I guess, like on their own in the show, but not from an integrated nature. So really looking forward to be talking to Yvonne, Kilian and to Tiaan, Herselman. You will definitely know them if you're on LinkedIn. You are either connected to them or you've seen them. So I'm really excited to have them on the show. We're really going to talk about got quite a few interesting things and I think things that I'm very excited about and very interested in. And we're combining all of these things together today. So yeah, really excited to get into it. Before we do that, obviously, I need to say good morning and welcome, everybody. So, Terence, good morning. You were in first. I've been sitting on the stoop, Terence, for the last few days and episodes as well, because it's now summer. Good morning, Kobus. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome back. Razan, good morning. Sy was vroeg vanoggend op my spoor. Good morning. Good morning. We've got Flora. Good morning. Nice to have you. Thank you for being with us. Malcolm, good morning. Nice seeing you once again. Mark Bullock, good morning. Welcome. Ian, very nice to see you. I hope you're well. It's been a while, it feels like. It's time, like we must do that before the end of the year, breakfast thing now that we're allowed to. Miriam, good morning. Nice to see you. Jaco Roots, goeiemorgen. Nice to have you with us as well. Gemotso, good morning. Adrian, good morning. Welcome back. Mark, good morning. I hope it's all well down in Australia. And my brother is moving to Australia, Mark. So I don't know, Ballarat, I think is the place's name. But yeah, he's moving there early next year. So yeah, good stuff. So maybe if I come and visit, I can meet you. So that'll be awesome. Francis, good morning. Baie nice om jou hier te hê. Good morning, good morning. Ferdi van die Kerk, good morning. Nice to see you. Denise, good morning. Thank you for being here once again. I think I need to start changing the posters again now that I think about it. I think it's been about a month. Albert Fritz, good morning. Eden, good morning. Nice to see you once again. Kobus is saying more, Tiaan, well done. Marcel, good morning. Nice to see you as well. You and I must also go have a coffee or something, or water if you prefer that. So good stuff. Good morning, Dirk Groeneveld. Alrighty, so whether you're over on LinkedIn or over here on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us. It's always great to have you as part of the live shows because, watching the recording is great and I deeply appreciate it, but I think there's a different vibe when we do these things live and we can interact and ask questions and, guests are responding to you in real time. So that's amazing. So yeah, just taking the time to be here. Thank you very much. The last show for this year, just before you get a heart attack, I'm not stopping the show, but the last show for this year, I think is the 15th, is it? Am I now? Let me just double check quickly. No, I can't find it. There we go. So the last show is, yes, the 15th of December. Then we're going to take a break until sort of somewhere the third week. I think we'll start again the third week of January. So, but there's lots for you to watch if you want to. And if you want to do your planning for next year, I think there's so much content on this channel now that will help you just get your thinking there. Even if you go back to one of the very first episodes we did, remember the one about 21 things that you can do and that you should be doing during lockdown, when lockdown was really lockdown. How many of those have you done? Maybe it's time to revisit. Maybe you have implemented some of them and life took over again. So go see. Maybe there's another 1 or 2 things that you can work on and implement. So there's so much here that you can use for your planning for next year. And I want to encourage you to do that. And I think, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm convinced all at the same time, that this morning's guests are going to add even more value and they're going to give you more ideas of things that you want to do. So, without any further ado, let's get into this. Just very quickly, so it's awesome. So as you saw, I don't think I've put it up on the screen yet. So we're on 721 subscribers and 6 patrons. So you'll see that we've got 1 additional patron. Thank you very much for that. And it is none other than Francis. Francis, thank you so much. I was so happy and surprised and excited when I got the email to say that Francis sort of joined the Patreon campaign. So thank you so much. You don't have to do the Patreon thing. It's voluntary. I appreciate it very much if you do that. We use that money exclusively for the show and to up the technology and upgrade and make things better and maybe updo the studio and all of that. So that is what this money is going for. And but even if you can just subscribe, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. That helps us as well. And we're on 721. That elusive 1,000 is still there. I thought we were going to get there before the end of the year, but it's been a little bit slow the last few weeks. So let's see if we can change that. So our patrons, just thank you to all of you. As I said before, it's Kobus, Denise, Janice, Johan, and now Francis, and also that one anonymous person. So thank you very much for that. I deeply appreciate it. And I know that it's something that you're doing from your heart to help and that you find value. So thank you so much for that. Alrighty then, just lastly, before I get going, just remember the portal. Now I've got too many things open here on the screen. And I'm losing my marbles, so let me just do this. So if you want to connect with the show and get the latest and easy access to everything, just go to francois.co.za/portal and you can find it there. I will also put the QR code up on the screen so you can scan it with your phone. So you're more than welcome to do exactly that. All right, so without further ado, I'm very excited this morning to welcome my 2 guests to the show. And that is Yvonne, Kilian, and Tiaan Herselman from Old Mutual Wealth. Good morning, guys. Welcome. And I'm glad to have you with us on this lovely Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Francois. It's good to be here. Hello, listeners. And
good morning, everybody else online. I see some very familiar faces. So a special shout out to Dirk, Kobus, and a couple of other faces I saw as well. Good morning, everybody.
Adrian.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that you would know that's part of the community, and I think that is the thing. The more we engage with each other, the more we always say, the industry is very small, but you don't realize just how small and how connected we are. And that's sort of the amazing thing, and where people have sort of similar visions, or they can get behind a similar cause or something like that. It really becomes this thing with momentum, and that's what I really enjoy about this. So just thank you from my side for joining us. I think there's a lot that I want to talk to you about, and just excited to get into it. So Tiaan, I want to start with you and ask, just maybe quickly introduce yourself. Just what is it exactly that you do before I sort of ask you the first question, so that people that don't know you at least have a sense of who you are.
Good morning, colleagues, friends, and financial planners. My name is Tiaan Herselman. I am the head of advice at Old Mutual Wealth, and I am responsible for all things financial planning, whether it's our financial technology or just making sure we can have better conversations with our clients by using technology to enable those conversations. So I have a passion for financial planning. I know my colleague Yvonne shares that passion, and from the get-go, the first thing I studied straight out of varsity was financial planning. So I just have an absolute passion for financial planning, and I enjoy pursuing that passion at Old Mutual Wealth, and I really enjoy connecting with all of our colleagues in the industry as well.
Awesome stuff. Yvonne, just introduce yourself quickly before we get into the questions with Tiaan. What is your role and what is your background?
Thank you so much. So I'm Yvonne Kilian. I'm a financial planning coach, and I work with a vibrant team of coaches at Old Mutual Wealth, where we deliver the service of integrated wealth planning, coaching, and really just talking through and walking the journey with you to implement whatever it is that you participate in as part of the value proposition that we offer.
Oh, that's amazing. And we're going to get into that value proposition this morning. So Tiaan, let me start off with you and say, well, when we talk about integrated wealth planning, or, as nothing would be real in this industry if we don't give it some kind of acronym. So obviously it's called IWP for short. But what is it exactly? When we say integrated wealth planning, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think one thing, Francois, we can all agree is we love using different jargon at different different places in our industry. But integrated wealth planning for us centers around our advice offering, which is the cornerstone of everything that we do at Old Mutual Wealth. So our integrated wealth planning process centers around the client, who they are, what's important to them, and what their goals are. And integrated wealth planning is about changing a client's perspective when it comes to money, because I think we can all agree money doesn't make you happy. It enables you to pursue the things that make you happy. So integrated wealth planning is taking financial planning, behavioral coaching, and technology and putting all of that together to help clients bridge the gap between their current reality and their ideal reality, and co-creating strategies and actions with the clients to show them what the actions are that they can take to get them from where they are to where they want to be. And that is integrated wealth planning in a nutshell. And I'm looking forward to share a little bit of a live demo with the audience today. But that, in a nutshell, is integrated wealth planning.
So that's where the integrated comes in. Sorry, Yvonne. So I just want to ask, I'm going to come back to you now. Is that where the integrated come in? So is the technology, the coaching, and the planning together? Yeah. So this integrated part is actually referring to all of these areas.
Yes. So integrated wealth planning looks at all of those three spheres and how do we integrate that with your financial planning. So the behavioral side, the financial planning side, and then also the financial planning side. And how do we integrate that when we plan for your wealth?
Awesome. Yvonne, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it really talks to the coaching principles, which helps to clarify roles as well, on who takes responsibility, who takes accountability. And I think if you unpack those two words in itself, accountability takes account of what the agreed outcomes are and taking account of that and the ability to take account of that, whereas responsibility really is in how you respond to what needs to be implemented and the ability to respond, and then managing that so that, there is a trusted relationship embedded that creates clarity and certainty for achieving success for the clients. And that's really the outcomes that we're hoping to achieve with integrated wealth planning.
Awesome. Tiaan, so I mean, where does if we just focus on the wealth planning side, where does it start? Where does it stop? Or are these things so interlinked that there is no start and stop? It's this dance sort of between them. But are you able to say, well, you know what, if we look at integrated wealth planning, this is where it typically starts and this is typically where it ends and this is where it fits into the process, because that tends to be more technical. Am I right or not?
Yes, I think you're correct. So I think in our world, the first starting place, if you look at this integrated wealth planning journey, is getting a true understanding of who the client is, and we always talk about goal planning, but understanding what's important in life to you. What is your true north? And that is the starting point for us if you look at integrated wealth planning. From there, we can then start looking at, well, you have these goals, and are your financial plan actually, is it linking up to that? And how does your financial plan speak to that? And we truly believe that the value of a financial planner is so immense that without having the full picture and the full context of a client and understanding who they truly are, we can't actually do what we want to do for clients. I mean, if I go to a doctor and I'm trying to look at my cholesterol, or I've hurt myself, they'll send me for a full blood test. And the starting point for integrated wealth planning is first and foremost understanding who the client is, where they've been, where they're going to. And then we can actually start looking at, well, what technology can we use to start showing you your roadmap? What are the trade-offs between where you are, where you want to be? And what are some of the emotional triggers you might have in putting together this integrated wealth plan? And again, it's about starting and finding out where the client is, where he is emotionally. Then we show you where you are from a financial planning point of view. And then we co-create a plan and actions alongside you to get you to your ideal reality in time.
All right, cool. So let me then jump from there, Yvonne, over to you on the behavioral coaching side. So, what is behavioral coaching, or again, maybe integrated behavioral coaching? So I guess we understand it's where these things come together. But what are we talking about when we're talking about behavioral coaching exactly? Because coaching has become this buzzword, not just in financial services, but like anybody who doesn't know, they're tired of what they want to do. A lot of people are becoming coaches because I think they find so much joy in finding out what your purpose is, and we think that coaching has got everything to do with that. But from your point, when we talk about ICB, what are we talking about?
So for us, integrated behavioral coaching is really a transformational outcome with the client that's created. And the planner will learn to coach the client for that behavioral change that's needed. Also, part of the experience is to reveal the client's underlying motivation behind their current patterns of behavior, specifically around money. And it helps them to change those patterns that no longer serve them. So the idea is to give insight into the fundamentals of behavior and coaching and how to move and broaden the perspective for possibility, shifting that mindset from a transactional kind of mindset to one that is a way of being with clients. So, yeah, I think it inspires change. It definitely extracts true meaning for the client. Also in the relationship, that makes a difference. And ultimately for us, it also, from a business point of view, it has to make sense for the planner because it supports a business model where planners can charge a professional fee that can further complement their current fee models.
Yeah, and I want to get into some of those because I've got some questions that I want to ask around that, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm just thinking, if we talk about coaching, and I want to ask you a question, which I don't know if it's an unfair question, but I'm going to throw you a little curveball if you don't mind. Okay, so let's have fun. So, isn't coaching just a new way of selling? What is your philosophy? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that, coaching, and I've always said that product and sales-led advice together with advice-led integration and now coach-led integration, they kind of support each other. The one, if you look at how planners spend all their time for many, many years building the knowledge and the skills from a technical point of view to be competent to deliver advice and do financial planning, where it really leads to, you can't have a business if you don't have a product to sell, if you don't have a service to deliver, and in that way be profitable. So how the coach-led philosophy really supports the sales part of it, and I think it does support it and enhance it rather than it's the driving force that attracts sales into the business. And it is for the longer term relationship. It's really focused on, and this is what our evidence shows as well, where more and more planners are then able to build a business around sustainability and profitability. Because clients tend to stay with you once you bring these principles into the fore. And they're also more successful because in transforming and into what holds them back from achieving their objectives, they're released from all of that and they're now able to lead a more meaningful life. And that contributes to success for both the planner business and also for the client.
Yeah, no, I think that was brilliantly answered. And Tiaan, do you have any view also on that part, seeing that you work so closely together with Yvonne and the team that delivers that?
Yeah, I think everybody sells, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're selling a service to a client, and hopefully the client is seeing value in what you're selling. Otherwise, you wouldn't be charging a fee for it. And I think as long as your advice process, the product at the end is a result of the advice process and not product first and then kind of there's some advice to kind of make sure you've met your compliance requirements. Then what you're selling is advice, but there's a product implementation at the end. I think that's the important distinguishment, that you're not selling a product first and then trying to add some advice at the end. There's actually a full automated process with regards to your financial planning end-to-end process, which in our world is integrated wealth planning. And then at the end, as a result of that, there's a product. But I think we do have to acknowledge that we are in an industry where we are still selling, but hopefully we're selling advice and the product is a result of the advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, my feeling is what we're really selling is what we're trying to, is to get people to move, to make a decision and to take action. That's really, whether that action is to sign an application form or to draft a will or to, finally have a budget or whatever that may be, or to have a clear vision and a clear plan and know what their values are and all of that stuff. That's really what it's about. So when I talk about selling, I think, and that's why coaching is so powerful, because that's exactly what it does, in my opinion, is it gets you to, and I think, Yvonne, you said it so perfectly, is that what is driving you from inside? What is your reason for wanting to do things or worrying about things or whatever? So that is why that is so important. And I think there's still so many people that think that coaching is a fad. It's just the next thing. But if you really go back and you look at the evolution, like when we started off with this industry, it was very much product focused and selling that product. And then came the F&A, sort of, it's like, at least maybe we should see if there's a good fit. So that came. Then it was sort of financial planning. That was sort of the next level. So let's understand all the legislation and everything that impacts this, and let's do a bit better. And now it's this sort of, let's focus on the person and what's really important to them. So it's sort of this evolution, and unfortunately, a lot of people are still stuck in phase one. Almost. I'm thinking like Marvel again, if I hear phase one, phase two. So it's a lot of them are stuck there. And my question now is, Yvonne, how do we get this message out to them? What is the best way of letting people know that, here's a different way of doing things that's valuable to your client, it's valuable to you, it's valuable to your business, but there is a bit of a learning curve, and obviously getting that expertise under your belt. But what is the best way to get that message to the masses, I want to say, that still don't know about, where we've gone since we started years ago?
Yeah, and I think, Francois, we have to acknowledge that we have to meet people where they're at and what their relationship is to how business operates currently, and that it has been working for many. If you really consider, planners are able to remain profitable with just doing what they have been doing for so long. I think the attraction is what needs to happen in an ever-changing environment. How do you stay future fit and abreast of the changes that this emerging future presents? And what are those opportunities? And how do you adapt and stay nimble enough to stay on top of what new is developing, so that you also are able to offer relevant services to your clients that they may be seeking. I think that there's a whole dynamic around that. Certainly for me, it's about education. It's about an open mindset. It's about taking the time to experience what is different about it, just broadening a little bit of perspective. And ultimately, even if you adopt 10% of any change, and there's this shift that is already happening, it's basically like the earthquake we had again last night. It's now on a Richter scale of much more than what it was. We're definitely seeing that there's a disruption in the market, and planners need to take cognizance of that so that they remain relevant as well. But yeah.
Yeah, no, amazing. Sorry, I want to address a comment here from Dirk. So saying no, and he's saying like, don't cheapen what we do as lifestyle planners, because I said like, isn't it just another way of selling? And I think it's exactly that, where you have this connotation when you hear the word selling that we're talking about selling product. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're either, and you said it as well, like you're selling a service or you're selling a proposition. We're trying to get people to move and to see our value. There is no way that you can't be selling in your business. It's just, what are you selling and what are you focusing on? And also, so this isn't about any like cheapening any whatever else somebody may be doing. It's not about that. It's about understanding like, here's a way that is so much more valuable than maybe the things that we focused on previously. That is what it's about. I just sort of, yeah.
Yeah, it's a value-generated experience that you sell to clients. Exactly. This has been one of the challenges of the industry, is how has clients experienced having a financial advisor and receiving financial planning advice. And we know that there's a lot of disconnect around that. And this definitely shifts the focus to an experience that the client is willing to pay for at the end of the day. So it professionalizes the industry.
Yeah. Tiaan, anything you would like to add?
No, I completely agree with Dirk. And I think it is important to note that we at Old Mutual Wealth have a lot of planners that we service, but there is a core group of planners where you can see certain things in their business that are different, and those measurements of things such as, well, how quickly are you growing your business? Also, what is the retention rate in your business? And for the people that are adopting this lifestyle financial planning philosophy, which we refer to as integrated wealth planning, we can see their businesses growing significantly faster than their peers. So what that means to me if I was an entrepreneur or somebody buying that, it means that the people perceiving that service are actually perceiving value. Otherwise, there wouldn't be business growth. So I think to Dirk's comment, lifestyle financial planning and integrated wealth planning is completely different to the way we used to see financial planning many years ago. And I think it's important not just to talk the talk, but also to walk the walk. And we'll get to that a little bit in a short while with the demo as well.
No, cool stuff, yeah. So it's just important for me to know that when we talk about selling, I'm not talking about anything specifically. It's about getting people to do something, and whatever it is that you want them to do that you know is in their best interest, that is what I'm referring to. So that's important. So then the question, Yvonne, so how does coaching, I mean, Tiaan, you just said that, there's proof, you can see it in the data, and that those businesses that do sort of follow this integrated wealth planning / coaching method, that they grow significantly faster than people not doing it or advisors not doing that. So how does coaching exactly drive revenue?
Yeah, I think it's the accountability framework, in essence, that holds you true and honest to the goals and outcomes that you have put in place. And it helps to overcome the breakdowns where you get stuck and what gets in the way. Where you have a collaborative, trusted relationship with your coach to help unpack what that is and to work through it and with it, and then be able to rationalize what the way forward is that will best serve you in order to achieve those outcomes.
Cool. So, Tiaan, I mean, if you sort of follow this integrated wealth planning method and you focus on the coaching and the lifestyle financial planning, how exactly are you generating? What is the business model behind that drives this as well? Because we follow all these things, but somewhere money needs to find your bank account. So what is how do they charge for it? What is the model behind it? That are there different models that one could consider? Can you unpack that for us a little bit, please?
Sure. So there's two basic models. The first one is the normal model you see in many financial services, which is an AUM model. So either I charge you as a percentage of your assets, but the one we're seeing cropping up much more is fees for services model that's actually cropping up. And I think we can agree that's been very difficult to implement in our industry in the last 10 or 5 years specifically. So we're seeing almost these two models coincide with one another, where we're actually giving clients more flexibility to say that, look, my normal fee for this work, if you've got assets of $1 million or $2 million or whatever the amount might be, would be X amount of basis points, which equates to so much per year, and that's for the following services that I render. But now we're also getting to show clients that, well, actually, what I've done for you is A, B, and C, and for that I would normally charge whatever the fee might be. So you have the option to either pay it out of your assets, or you can pay me once off or monthly, however you want to do that. So we're almost seeing two different fee models coming out from this integrated wealth planning process. But more importantly, we are showing clients the value of financial planning. Because I think that's one thing we've struggled with in our industry, is demonstrating the value of advice and demonstrating the value of financial planning. And I think if you were to survey a lot of clients, they would argue that, well, I'm actually not getting value from my financial planner. And that's something that I think we as an industry, it's our job to change that perception. I mean, a recent study from 10X showed that 75% of people don't even have any form of financial plan. So the value they might be perceiving from their plan is, I've got a product, but I actually don't have a financial plan or a roadmap to where I'm going.
Yeah, no, that's and that's awesome. I mean, I like seeing that, because it means that we're making this your business or your practice, however you want to refer to it, more sustainable. Another question that, just before I get into designing your practice or your business, and just talk a little bit about that, is like, if you are, because obviously there's this, because this is a philosophy and a way of doing things, and where you see things going and that. So my question then is, does it matter whether you are an independent, whether you are tied to a specific product provider? Is this a process that you can follow and implement? Doesn't matter where you are? How do you see that, Tiaan?
It's such an important question. So this is a product agnostic process. And I think that's one thing we have to be very clear on when it comes to giving advice and looking at your financial roadmap, your financial journey. That is product agnostic. So when I'm sitting with you, Francois, and I'm having a conversation about your dreams, goals, and aspirations, and I'm starting to put together a plan, and we're having a fruitful conversation as to what are all the trade-offs and where are some of the gaps and what can you do to get you there. Then I can start having a conversation to say, well, Francois, to get you from A to B, these are some of the actions we've agreed to. When there might be spending less, spending more, saving more, changing your investment strategy, whatever that might be, but that is product agnostic. Once you've agreed to the actions you have to implement, then I can say, look, Francois, based on my knowledge and expertise and the partnerships I've developed and my due diligence, these are the products I would recommend. So your question of whether you have to be an IFA, independent or tied, that to us makes no difference as long as your financial planning process, because this process is product agnostic, and hopefully that comes through a little bit later. So to us, that is irrelevant as long as you are following the process with clients to make sure that our financial planning, the framework is correct. And then we can decide where we implement the products. And as long as the products tie up to what we plan for.
Yeah. Yvonne, I saw you were going like yes when I asked the questions. Anything you'd like to add on that before we go into the next question?
Yeah, I think Tiaan has covered it all. It definitely is a very holistic oversight of anything and everything that the client has. And where we support that with the conversations and the models in a very visual way, but also in the way in which the client can engage with the outcomes so that they can practically experience it for themselves and to see themselves and how they show up in relation to their money. I think that is a very powerful outcome.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about designing your practice. My question is, when should I do this? Is it ever too late to start looking at your existing practice or your existing business and say, listen, well, I need to revamp it. And what if I'm within 5 years or 3 years of exiting my business if I'm already there? What am I like? What should I do? Should I say, you know what, let me just see out my last few years, or should I actually do this then anyway? Yvonne, what is your, like, when do I start doing this? And I don't know, is there a perfect time?
Yeah, I don't think today is the perfect time. If anything, it's never too late to plan. And certainly with our business management consulting services, one of the aspects that we focus on, and that's part of the core service offering, is where we look at how to really make your business sustainable and scalable, and also to prepare you for exit from your business. And what are those underlying levers that you need to pay attention to? And that's done with in collaboration with you to look at least 6 different elements of your business, and where are the gaps and what are the priority areas that need attention to really up the saleability, if that was your intention, so that you can exit with some value. But definitely it's never too late. You have to start somewhere, and valuation of businesses, I think, is so important. We've just found that if there are certain gaps within the business model, then definitely it can impact on getting a good sale at the end of the day.
Cool. Is there anything in particular, like if there's one thing that you see most advisors sort of, if they were to start with that one thing that maybe has a big impact, I won't say the biggest impact because it's different for every practice, but is there anything that you can sort of just give a tip this morning and say, you know what, look at this because this will make a difference in your business?
Well, I definitely think it is to know who you are, not what you are, and to understand what your purpose and your vision is for your business. Where is it that you want to take your business? I think that in essence is really the most important aspect, so that you can now already start implementing the necessary outcomes to achieve what it is that you're wanting to work toward.
Awesome. Tiaan, so let's talk a little bit about our two favorite, well, the two of us have got the same favorite thing, which is technology or fintech, or however you want to refer to that. behind all of this, usually if you want to enable, whether it's the coaching part or it's the financial planning part, there's technology that we can use in order to make that happen, to enable that. So what technology is it that you offer and that you subscribe to, in the sense of like, this is sort of, what is great at the moment, and this supports this philosophy and this way of doing things. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Cool. Yeah, I think when it comes to financial services, there are different pots of technology. So I think the one I'll be focusing on today is the actual financial planning technology. I guess most people would call it the F&A, but I think we've taken a bit of a different spin on that. So if you talk about technology, we could be talking about CRM. We could be talking about financial planning tools, which is what I'm going to focus on today. You could be talking about investment automation processes, but I'm going to hone in today on the F&A, or the financial planning tools, but specifically the tools that will aid the conversation with a client to bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. I think that's what I'll be sharing today. If you're happy with that, Francois.
Yeah, happiness. I just quickly, before you can sort of share your screen so long if you want to do just a quick demo. But I want to ask you, while you're doing that, so what is the sweet spot between fintech and finplan? So if you go the technology meeting the planner and the planning itself, because that tends to be more technical. So we're not talking yet about the coaching part. This is the financial planning tool in order to do all your calculations and all of that. Where's the sweet spot for those two to meet?
Yeah, before I share, I think it's such a good question. So I think if we look at where the world's, especially in the US and offshore, what we realize is that the role of the financial planner is changing. So you had three different financial planners previously. You had the salesman, you had the technical planner, and then you had the guy that was very investment driven. And the best planner was all very technically, the salesman, the coach, and you had the guy that was a very good connecting with people. He could relate to people. And where we see technology aiding going forward is the technical part we can use technology for. So how much should I be saving into an RA? Which investment structure should I be saving into? What's the return I should be targeting? Am I on track for retirement? These questions can be asked by or solved by technology. The financial planning component of the financial planner's role is acting more as the coach, relating to people, because technology will never be able to replace that. And you can see it in every single study, whether it's a study done by financial planners or whether it's a study done by professors abroad and locally. One thing it points out is that the value of a financial planner is being able to relate to people and making them realize their goals and relating to people. And that's the one thing where I believe technology will aid the financial planning process in the calculations part of it. But relating to people and just being a relatable human, technology will never be able to replace. And I mean, we can have a full session on robo-advice as well, but I do still think that we've even seen with robo-advice, especially abroad, it hasn't really taken off in our country, but in the US, you can really see that people are almost going, there's almost two streams that kind of got created 5 years ago. The one was the robo-advice stream, the other one was the financial planner stream, and what you're seeing almost is a road somewhere diverging in the middle. We're saying, okay, well, let technology do what it's supposed to do, which is the calculations part of it, and let me as a financial planner do what actually matters to you. Speak to you about your goals, understand who you are as a person. When COVID happens, phone you. By the way, are you okay? How are you coping? Your plan's still fine. You're actually on track. Don't stress about it.
Yeah, that's so critically important. So I think, that is, I fully agree with that. So we need to know where technology plays its role, and also how do we go and identify where technology could be valuable in our businesses. So you want to do the demo quickly before I sort of move on? We can just do a quick one.
Yeah, I think let's do a quick one, Francois. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it very quick. Yeah, so let's make it practical. Let's say I've got Bob, and Bob is 50 years old. He plans to retire at age 62. Bob has a pension worth 5 million, unit trust worth 800,000, and he has life cover worth 3 million. And Bob has some property. He's got two properties, a primary home of 3.5 million with a bond of 1.5 and a holiday home of 2 million, of which he still owes 1.5 on his bond. And Bob, and I'm not going to go into the detailed conversation around the goals, but we would normally have started with understanding who Bob is, where he's from. But I'm going to skip that now and just focus on the technological part of it. Sure. Let's assume Bob needs 45,000 Rand per month. Now, in your financial plan, whether you've got 10 Rand or 10 million.
Tiaan, sorry, I don't know if you want to share your screen.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I was clicking the finger there, Francois.
No problem.
Here we go. Sorry, viewers. I hope you can see my screen. Perfect. So there we said, Bob, we know what he's worth, and hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, perfect. So any financial plan, whether you have 10 Rand or 10 million, can be broken down into only 4 numbers. The available capital that you have, and in Bob's case, he has 5.8 worth of investments, 5.5 worth of properties. He owes 1.5. So his net value is about 9.8, or just short of 10 million. What you want to draw from the capital, which in Bob's case is 45,000 Rand after tax when he gets to retirement at age 62. And then if you look at Bob's risk profile, and again, when we look at risk, we don't just look at a risk profile. We look at 3 different elements of risk: the risk you can afford to take, the risk you need to take, and the risk you are willing to take. But let's assume that for Bob, we only focused on the conventional approach of the risk you are willing to take. And let's assume he's a conservative investor of inflation plus 2 to 3. Well, without making any changes, we can answer the question, well, how long could the money last? And this is where the wealth integrator could come in. So in Bob's case here, if I were to open up his wealth integrator, and just give me 2 seconds, and I'll quickly open up this for Bob, and then I'll share it with him. Without making any significant changes to his plan, Bob could potentially sustain his lifestyle, which I'll share now, till just short of age 70. And let me just quickly share that with you for Bob in 2 seconds. So I'm just pulling up Bob for you, and I'll show you where Bob is. And share my screen. Francia, just do me a favor and check that my screen is shared, because you've seen my previous history of screen sharing for the session hasn't been too great. So let's just make sure.
It's not coming through yet. So
I'm sharing it now. Okay. And then there we go. So here I've got Bob's initial financial plan. So if Bob makes no changes, at age 69, he can't sustain that lifestyle of 45,000. And now the first question I would ask Bob is, well, Bob, what do you think you can do to improve this question? And this might seem like an odd question, but it would give me a good idea as to where the client's mind is. What does he think that he can do on his side without making any changes? So I would create a new scenario, and I can go through certain trade-offs with Bob. And the button most people would like to push in their plan, if you could magically push it, would probably be saying, well, I'm not getting a high enough return, markets have been flat. So if I did only made one change in Bob's plan, and I assume that he got a 2% higher return before and after retirement, would that get Bob to kind of a realistic age for retirement? And that only gets him to age 75. It adds 3 years. But then in chatting to Bob, he says to me, oh, by the way, have you planned for my medical aid? And I said, actually, I didn't. What is your medical aid currently? Well, it's 4,000 Rand a month, and that's going up at inflation plus 4. So what I'm going to do is take Bob's expenses down to 41 and split out the 4,000 for medical aid. Now, just that change alone takes Bob's plan from 75 to 72. Then I said to Bob, okay, well, Bob, to make this up, what do you think you can do? Well, actually, Tiaan, I have a surplus of 5,000 Rand a month. What if I put that away into a unit trust investment? Okay, well, Bob, 5,000 Rand in your world would get you from 72 to age 75. It adds another 3 years. And then Bob says to me, well, Tiaan, I actually forgot to plan for vehicles. Does that 45 and my questioning to him include your vehicles? And he says, actually, no. I said, well, Bob, well, how much would you need for vehicles in retirement? Well, I need about 300,000, and we considered looking at 4 vehicles in retirement. And immediately when I do that, the plan goes back to 68. And this red section is telling me it's due to the fact that Bob, like many clients in retirement, does not have enough sufficient liquidity. So one thing people often overlook in retirement planning is the impact of liquidity. So the only way I could solve this for Bob is when he gets to retirement, taking a bigger lump sum from his pension. And obviously that's going to have a tax implication. So if he were to take 20% as a lump sum, it means that he pays tax of 900,000, but he gets 2.3 million out after tax. That gets him to 73, and now he can fund 2 vehicles, but the third one is still a problem, and the 45,000 Rand a month up until age 73. So contrary to popular belief, Bob would also have to consider drawing a little bit higher from his living annuity. The reason being to give his liquid capital chance to grow, not dip into that. And now Bob can fund 3 vehicles and 45,000 Rand up until age 75. Then I said to Bob, well, maybe it's time to cut the garment according to the cloth. So I said, well, Bob, what would happen if we were to cut down your expenditure in retirement? So currently I'm planning for 45, which medical is 4, and living expenses is 41. What if I cut that down to 35? That gets Bob to age 80, which I think Francois will agree is still is good, but it's not good enough considering our current longevity. We said, okay, well, Bob, what about your liabilities? So we look at your current plan. When you get to retirement, you still have about 400,000 Rand outstanding in debt. What if we made sure that we paid that off at retirement? So I'd ask the model to calculate what his repayment, which is currently 14,000 Rand, would be worth to make sure we settle that at retirement, and that's 17,000. So Bob, you have to commit today, if you want to be debt-free at retirement, to a new or premium on your bond of 17,000 Rand a month. If I do that, that now gets your plan from age 80 to 81. It gives you 12 additional paychecks in retirement. Then I said to Bob, well, let's look at your assets. So you said you can't save more. We don't want to target a higher return because you've gone into a discussion with regards to what you can expect from an inflation plus 4 to 5 portfolio. Let's look at some of your other assets. And what if we were to dispose your holiday home at retirement and invest the proceeds? Well, that gets you from 81 to 89. And then Bob says to me, well, you know what, Tiaan, I think we'll actually move into the retirement home. Why don't I rather sell my primary residence? And that gets Bob from 89 to 97. So in Bob's financial plan, the biggest trigger actually wasn't the return he was getting, or so much the lifestyle he was living. It was the fact that he had this big asset that actually wasn't doing anything for him. And then we could even consider for Bob the impact of renting out the property in retirement. So in this case, I might say, Bob, let's assume you get 20,000 Rand a month for the property. Would that be better off than selling it? And in Bob's case, 97 then becomes 94. So Bob's actually better off selling the property. So if I were to summarize this plan for Bob in one picture, it would look as follows. So putting everything onto one page, again, there's only 4 numbers. The first trade-off we looked at was targeting a high return. That only gave you 6 years and got you to 75. The second trade-off was splitting out medical aid, which we didn't plan for at inflation plus 4. That brought you back by 3 years to 72. We then look at saving 5,000 Rand a month into a unit trust up until retirement. That made up the 3 years we lost for the medical aid. We then planned for vehicles, and we put in 4 vehicles in retirement of 300,000 every 6 years. That got you back by another 7 years to age 68. We then looked at improving your liquidity by taking more as a lump sum, drawing a bit more from your living annuity in retirement to make sure we don't run out of liquid capital. That got you back to 75, but we almost couldn't get past the 75 point in Bob's plan. Then we had to consider cutting costs or even potentially planning for a side hustle in Bob's case by alleviating an extra 6,000 Rand a month by cutting down your expenses by 6 grand in retirement. That got you to age 80, but the biggest impact after we paid off your debt at retirement, that only added 1 year, was looking at selling your primary residence at retirement or potentially renting it out. And that got you to age 97. So if you look at your starting point versus your end point, that's 24 years. And people talk about gamma. And to me, gamma is financial planning advice that shows you the impact of your decision making today. And people equate gamma to 2 to 4% per year, the value a financial planner can add. But we can show it to a client in real time what your decision making and the implications of decisions are today. And that is integrated wealth planning and showing you a short snippet of some of the technology we use to have real time conversations.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, that's where you can see there's so much you can do. And I love, so you talk about real time. I love how, like, as you do it, it's there. It's literally part of the conversation, because I think often that is the case where the technology disrupts the conversation instead of, and not in a good way. It's not like Uber disrupting something. We're talking about, like, you know, we're in this flow and in this conversation, and now I need to do a million things and wait for calculations and do all this stuff. Whereas this thing just, it makes it easy to have that conversation and have immediate feedback. I really enjoyed this. Thank you, Tiaan. I think that was amazing. So thank you. You've obviously done that more than once before. So it's amazing.
I think we can all agree that financial planning, or any whether you take on investment or risk cover, and we can do this for life, death, disability, etc. But I think it's always been seen as a grudge purchase, because we live in an Instagram world, we live in a Facebook world where I'm more worried about that next adventure. So if we can make it, if we can show clients the implications of their decision making in real time, that's how we can show them today and make it tangible to them. But just if I just give you a shortfall and say, Francois, you have to save 15 grand a month, which, by the way, I think Bob has to save about 20 grand a month if he wants to make up the shortfall. That's not going to lead you to any action or make you feel like you were part of the process and the decision making. And that's where the behavioral coaching that Yvonne spoke about earlier comes in, is actually having a conversation with you and showing you the impacts of your decision making.
Yeah, and that was now my next question, Yvonne. So, like, now, you know, just maybe using what Tiaan has just done now. So which aspects of coaching would now form part of that conversation in order to get people to take action? I mean, obviously, because you would feel so overwhelmed if you told me I had to save another 20. I'm just thinking I already don't have 2. So, how does the coaching then fit on top of that and interact with that?
Well, the coaching really follows a little bit of insights and creating perspective for the client through some models that we use just to help the client understand what is possible, what is not possible. So what is in your control, what is not in your control. And then also to hand the banner over to the client because they have agency over their own lives. And we believe that they are the expert on their lives and they know what levers to pull to achieve those outcomes. And when they're able to see how this kind of technology supports that conversation so that they can make an informed decision, it really, really is quite powerful. And we see how clients start playing with the ideas of what then creates that platform from which to look at different possibilities, different scenarios. And ultimately, it then comes to the point of getting commitment from the client, because we can all have a beautiful plan, but how do you then enable the actions that need to be implemented and follow through? And that in itself is a coaching conversation as well.
Yeah, amazing. So Tiaan, where does tech need to go next, or where is it going and where does it need to go? I think because, this is fantastic, but times evolve, and as we learn more and things that work better and that's more valuable, where do you see it going, 1, and 2, where do you think it needs to go?
Franco, I hope we can have a separate podcast, me and you, just on that. But I think 2 things. The most important thing we can do from a fintech point of view is getting clients involved. So the normal F&A process would be, look, I send you a form, you give me your assets, liabilities, incomes, expenses. I capture everything. I do the report. I get a shortfall. I send it to you. And I think we can agree that doesn't add any value for anybody. I think where fintech needs to go, one of the big principles now is getting the clients involved in the conversation, automating things, using technology such as 24/7. CRM providers such as Adwork and Xplan, etc., to gather information from the client at their terms, at their pace, when it's convenient for them. So I think that's the one component where fintech information gathering has to become simpler for clients. The second thing I think we're going to see in our industry in the next couple of years is that previously, if you look back, and I think to the systems I used to use back in the day when I started out in this industry, we had SLM, we had Spotlight, Blueprint, and these are all kind of one-stop shops. And I think if you look at what's happening in the UK and especially in the US, and they really are the leaders in fintech, what you see is ecosystem of technology speaking to one another. So in other words, I might have my CRM at company A, but my CRM plugs into the financial planning tools at company B, which plugs into my investment automation services at company C. So I think fintech is not going to be a one-stop shop anymore. So I'm not going to go to company A for my CRM, my financial planning tools, my, whatever I might be getting from a financial technology solution, but we're going to see different systems start speaking to one another via open APIs. So I might say, I like the financial planning tools of company A, I like the CRM system of company B, and it's almost going to be like an app world. And you see that happening in especially in the UK and America. And I think that's where we're spending a lot of time, is making sure that we can start speaking to other systems and start sharing information to make the fintech journey for the financial planner and the client as easy as possible. Because if we can meet the financial planner where he is at and the client, then I think we're starting to build something that's viable for the future, because the one industry that's the slowest to adopt to change, and not financial planners, actually just the industries itself, has been financial services. But I think the wheel is starting to turn at a much more rapid pace, not just because of COVID, because I think we see that technology is becoming the enabler it always needed to be.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I say that technology, you must view whatever cost is associated with that, you've got to view that as an investment, because whatever you implement and whatever you use in your practice, it must generate and grow, will generate more income and generate generate growth for your business. If not, then it becomes a cost, because a cost is something that it's money that you need to pay for something that you need to have. But, it's part of your team, actually, I think, technology. And I fully agree with you about where you see things going. I talk about the stack. Not a lot of people like the word stack. I think you put it so eloquently to say, it's this sort of this app world, or this what did you call it? Like when you said the that there's all these things.
This whole ecosystem of financial technology. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So, thanks for that, Yvonne. Who's got access to all of these fantastic services and all of these things? Is it available to a selected few, or is it available to everybody? How does this work? So, just talk us a little bit through that.
Okay, so our integrated wealth planning and business management consulting services is coaching and tools that are part of our core offering to any partner that supports with Old Mutual Wealth as a platform. But we also have a range of coaching solutions that are packaged at different subscription levels, where planners can choose how they want to collaborate and partner with us. Ultimately, there is the option of elective coaching services as well. These may be invoiced separately, but the wealth proposition is available currently to, as you saw what we've shared today, as well as some basic business management consulting services. We're making that available for an incubator period of up to 3 months, where planners are allowed access to trial the wealth integrator and integrated wealth planning as a process, as well as, just have exposure to some of the specialist services that we offer. And that's a no obligatory. You don't have to partner at all. And then we've got a financial coaching course that's developed specifically for independent financial advisors who want to maintain their own advice process. They don't necessarily want to use integrated wealth planning, but that is really developed to talk to a planner that exclusively wants to look at, sorry, I'm just missing my spot here. It's for a planner that specifically wants to engage with coaching skills and change the conversation that they have with their clients. And that course is developed to enable that, and it is exclusively focused on having a coaching conversation and building competence and skills around that.
Yeah. So is this only available to people who work with Old Mutual Wealth, or can anybody say, listen, I need the services, I want to pay for it separately? Is that at all possible?
Yeah. So we've specifically packaged the solution. It's a bit of a smarty box offering, for lack of a better expression. And you decide how you want to engage with us, and at what point you want to partner with us as well.
So
and
what I like, what I'm hearing you saying is that it's up to me, like how I want to engage with you. What do I need? When do I need it? Like, what do I want to use? What I don't want to use? So I think that's amazing. So that's great stuff. Tiaan, maybe on a last note from you, anything you would like to add to the conversation that maybe we didn't talk about, or maybe just some final thoughts?
Franco, I would just like to take a second maybe to say thank you to you, because I wanted to say this on air. I think you've done a phenomenal job with this channel. Thank you for giving us some time to speak and also share our passion, which is financial planning. But I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart that it's been so amazing to see what you've done, especially with this channel, and thank you for everything you've done. And I think the financial planning community, we always talk about professionalizing our industry, and we're hoping we're trying to play our part of mutual wealth, but I think you are doing our industry a massive favor. I just wanted to actually end off by saying thank you for everything that you're doing for us and for championing the flag to make us be seen as a professional industry. And that one way we can be proud of. When I stand around the bar and I say, I'm a CFP, people know about it. So a massive thank you for everything you've done. I think that's the note I would like to end off on.
Thank you, Tiaan. I deeply appreciate that. I'm a shy person, but just thank you so much. It wasn't expected, but thank you very much. Yvonne, anything last words from your side? Yeah, Batman, man.
Yeah, I think it's that humble nature of yours that just attracts and inspires so many planners out there in the community. And just creating this platform to collaborate and to talk about what's available. We thank you for giving us that opportunity. Really, it's been wonderful to spend the time with you today, and looking forward to future engagements.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, Yvonne. And I think, it's like, I mean, I must actually commend you as well, because the work that you've been doing at Old Mutual Wealth with this is just phenomenal. I mean, I haven't been connected to you that long, but I've been following Tiaan for a very long time, and I've been seeing what they're doing. And, it's really at the forefront, I think, of where things are going, and really having an understanding, because that's often where things fall flat. It's one thing to come and stand here for me and say, oh, this is what I think. Everybody's got an opinion. Every economist thinks they know what's going to happen, although they've got no clue, for example. And I say it with the utmost respect, but I mean, there's a clear indication here that there's the practical, the expertise, and also having the vision of where things need to go. So I need to congratulate the entire team there. I don't know all of you, unfortunately, but well done. I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and I can see the passion and just the energy. When somebody lights up when they talk about something, like there's something there, it's something special. So to both of you, thank you, well done, and thank you for being on the show and coming to share what it is that you offer. It is my role. Two roles. I think one, play devil's advocate on the one hand, and on the other hand, make people aware of what is actually available. That's my job. I'm not here to agree with everything. I'm not here to do anything specific like that. But amazing. I really enjoyed the conversation. I really enjoyed the input. I think it was extremely valuable. I will send the links to the same links that you got for the show for YouTube, not the ones that you two used to get into the studio. But the other link we shared on LinkedIn, you can share that with anybody. It's available for free on the YouTube channel, so anybody that wants to watch, you're welcome to distribute it. But from my side, thank you so much. I deeply appreciate it. To everybody that joined us this morning and for the input, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate your support and you being here. Please continue to tell others about the show and help us grow. And I will see you soon. Have a fantastic week. I'll be back next Tuesday. Thank you very much. And bye-bye, Tiaan, Yvonne. Have a good one. I'll chat soon.
Thank you.